Hello everyone, welcome back, Slides of Coasters. My name is Brad of Water Park, and welcome back to another episode of Slides Coasters podcast. Today we're doing something totally different. We are not in the usual headquarters today. We're actually in sunny Central Florida. Um, really happy to be down here, really happy to get out to the parks. Today we're going to be doing something totally different here. We're actually doing a radio show style podcast, mainly because I want to do something different. With Slides Coasters, we always try to do something different every single month. We try to have a few of these more interactive shows and a little bit more creative shows, because I do not like to keep things the same. I like to change things up. I like to go and advance. I want to move. I really want to grow with the podcast. I really want to grow with the community. So, one way that we're going to do this is with a radio show style. So we'll probably do a lot more as the months and years go on. Yes, I am working on getting bumper music. Yes, I am working on getting you guys a lot more content for this show. Don't think that I'm not doing that, alright? But today I really wanted to kick things off with a little bit of a news update. Something that I'm kind of excited for. Something I've been looking at for a very long time. And we're finally getting a notification on what is coming out and what's going on and the whole entire deal. So if you guys don't know, an author named Evan Ponstingle, I'm very sorry if I got your name wrong, by the way. I'll just call him Evan. Evan has been writing this book called Kings Island, A Ride Through Time. This is basically a historical book about just a lot of the history of Kings Island, which Kings Island in and of itself is a very historical park. It has a lot of amazing, influential individuals who came out of the park, who were influenced by the park. It's kind of interesting because Dennis Spiegel, who was very influential in the locality, the shape of the park, actually did an endorsement for this book. On Rivershore Creative, that's the publisher's website. There's a message here that says Evan Ponstingle has done an amazing job of capturing the formative early years of Kings Island as well as the growth periods. His historical accuracy is spot on. His interviews are riveting. His chronology on target. I well remember this history. I was there from the beginning. Now, if you guys don't know, Dennis Spiegel is currently the CEO, and as well, he founded the International Theme Park Services Incorporated. He's done a ton of work in the industry. I actually got to go and listen to him at a little Q&A sort of discussion at Coaster Stock. I believe twice now, actually. And basically, I got to listen to him kind of talk about his influence on the park and, the fact of the spokes and the games and everything, the arcades, and just really trying to develop the park and really try to grow out the park. He was very influential. Very extremely influential. Not to mention the fact that, just in general, Evan has a ton of big sources here. So, for example, Gary Walks, who's a very, very big influence on Kings Island coming into it, and just the whole entire park in general. They also have a ton of interviews from a lot of different people. Don Helbig, an amazing PR representative, head PR guy, the head honcho, in my opinion, of public relations at Kings Island. He got an interview. He's an amazing individual. He does a lot of great work for the enthusiasts as well. He loves the park. He has other people like Michael Kuntz. He is the current park president. Then you've got other people in here like Greg Scheid. He was the park president before Mike Kuntz. General manager, sorry. But, he has a lot of other people like Richard Zimmerman. He has Richard Kinzel. And if you guys know Richard Kinzel, he is the original Cedar Fair CEO. But there's a ton of sources, and then they've got a ton of magazines, newsletters, and what I really find interesting, and I love this, is the fact that, everyone, and I've noticed this, especially from more theme park related forums and venues and podcasts and the like, everyone talks about Kings Island as a theme park, and they never, ever talk about the water park. And it always grinds my gears, because I sit here and I look at it and I'm like, the park is more than just a hard park. It's also, in all fairness, is a water park too. The water park was influenced by the park. And when we sit here and we talk about Kings Island, I feel as if we're doing a disservice to ourselves as enthusiasts, and as well to people in general. When we don't talk about the water park, when we also talk about the hard park. When we don't talk about the fact that, there's other things to do at the park other than just riding coasters. The influences of things like Winterfest, the Halloween Haunt event, which that has a very, very long history with the park. There's a lot of history with the Halloween event at the park. Fear Fest used to be a huge deal. Then it became Halloween Haunt. There's a lot of history when it comes to this park. There's a lot of things that have happened within the park that has really shaped it. Whether you go from Taft to Viacom, Paramount, to Cedar Fair, you've got a ton of information, a ton of changes and developments and movements within the whole entire Kings Island Park. I almost said Paramount's Kings Island because I used to say that all the time. And, for myself, it's kind of like I know a lot of Kings Island information. I know a lot of history myself. I've been going to the park since about the early 2000s, about 2001, 2002, 2003. I started getting a gold pass with my family in 2004. 2003, 2004, I believe, is when we got our gold passes. We really started to go to the park a lot more often. But as a kid, I always told my mom, yeah, I love going to Kings Island, and I know that park. I've lived through a ton of things that have happened to that park. I got a lot of opinions on a lot of the park. And it's just kind of like to see a book come out about one of my favorite parks, a park that I grew up at, is amazing. To see Evan go on through here and could do so many interviews, research so many. I'm looking at this right now. The bibliography is huge. They've got posts from Cincinnati Post. They got stuff here from Cincinnati Enquirer. They've got a ton of just random little bits and pieces. Things that I would never have thought that you would really need to have for a historical book for Kings Island, but they do. There's a ton of love. There's a ton of just... It's a work of art. That's the best way to describe it. It's a work of art from what I can see right now. And there's a ton of information, as it looks like, just looking from the bibliography. With that being said, I'm interested to see where this book goes, reading it. Of course, currently it is in pre-purchase, so it's in pre-order. So you could pre-order at a discount. It's currently, I believe, around $18.95, usually $21.95. I'm probably going to buy it at $21.95 because I like to buy it in person. Supposedly it's going to be coming to bookstores, I hope. This is being created by Rivershore Creative. They do a lot of work. I'm just looking on their website right now. They've got a ton of discussions on theme parks. They've got a ton of podcasts and blogs and that kind of stuff, and I think that's really nice. I think it's really cool. But for Kings Island to ride through time, I think this is exactly what the enthusiasts need, especially for Kings Island, because I feel as if a lot of people know the general conceptions, general thoughts. they don't really know about the intricacies, the details, the exact things that have happened. And I believe we might get a little bit of a glimpse. Again, I don't know the dude. I don't know the author. I don't know what's in this book. But just from reading the bio that they have on the website on Rivershore Creative, which I'll share a link in the description down below. But this looks as if they're going to have a ton of information about the park. And I am so freaking excited. And I'm not being sponsored. This is not sponsored. I don't know the author. I found, in fact, I've been keeping up with this on KI Central for a long time now. Yes, I am on there. Yes, I do look at that page. I do look at the forums. I look at a lot of things, which I'll get to that here in a second. But just in general, I'm excited for this. This is an amazing book from what it looks like. Evan actually was able to get, for the cover art, he actually got Paul Bonifield. Yeah, Paul Bonifield. He's an amazing dude who worked at Cedar Fair for a while. He actually did the cover art. He actually did the front, which I think is really beautiful. Kind of brings back the 70s. The possibility, the future of the park that they saw back in the 72. Which, it's kind of surprising. It's kind of funny to say that, like, this park has been around since 1972. We're coming up on a big anniversary year and next year. So it's kind of like, this is a perfect time for the book to come out. And in all honesty, I hope this book comes to the park. I wouldn't be surprised if it does, because I think this is the exact kind of book that Kings Island will want in the park. Cedar Point has a history book, and I believe Kings Island should have one too. But with that being said, I thought this was going to be interesting to talk about, just because this is a book that I am very excited. Again, this is coming out on April 15th. I believe, just for myself, I have a collection in my library, in my office, of memorabilia, of books, and the like from theme parks around the world. I've got burn bombs about Disney World and Disneyland, dating all the way back from 98, 96, something like that. But, it's just kind of like for myself, I've got a ton of books about Disneyland, Disney World. I've got a ton of information. I believe I have a Coney Island book somewhere. I don't know where. I'd have to go back and look. But, there's a lot of historical books about these parks out there. But I kind of feel as if I would love for more... when it comes down to the nitty-gritty, and I'm going to rant here for a second, a lot more enthusiasts need to be a lot more versed on what's going on in the industry, the history of the parks. Because I kind of feel as if people just forget about it. A lot of people think that, it's 2020, it's the 20s now, so okay. Everything from the 90s, forget about it. Everything from the 2000s, forget about it. Everything from the 2010s, forget about it. Everything from the 80s, forget about it. No, you have to look at the history of the parks to figure out the future of the parks. And I believe that, again, if we don't learn from the history of the parks, we learn nothing at all. And, just for myself, I think that this is the kind of stuff that people need to freshen up on. I think that people need to go and read a book like Kings Island: A Ride Through Time. Get into it, read it, and gross yourself. Learn about the history of the park, because you will learn, and you will, and I again, maybe it's just me, you will appreciate a lot more about the park after you've read something about the park. When I was a kid, I used to go to Disney all the time, and the first year, this is something I'm very proud about, and this is when I was a kid, pseudo journalism. I actually took a ton of photos of the Expedition Everest construction. Now, this is back in the day when, I didn't really know a lot about theme park enthusiast groups. I knew of TPR, which that was just because I saw TPR guys at Disney all the time. But, it's kind of like I got books about Expedition Everest. I got books about the parks. And it made me appreciate a lot more about what is in the park. Because I feel as if way too often we as enthusiasts get caught up in the structure and we don't look at the people behind it. You know, you look at Kings Island, you see Diamondback, you see Banshee, you see Orion, you see the water park. You know, when you drive on up to Kings Island, you'll see Tropical Plunge. You know, one of the first structures you'll see is probably Mondo Monsoon or Orion or Diamondback. Mondo Monsoon or maybe Tropical Plunge. No one really looks at the history. No one really looks at the people behind those structures, the people behind those investments. Because I'm going to tell you this right now. There is a history and there is a story behind every single addition at every single park. Don't think there's not. And I honestly wish, and I do, and this is something that's just me, I honestly wish that there would be a documentary. And you know what? Maybe someday I might be able to do this. I don't know. But I would love for someone to make a documentary about the history of the parks and make a documentary about what goes into building up these parks, building up an attraction. I know there is a documentary series for Fury and for Lightning Rod, but you know, something that's in-house, something that's made by Cedar Fair or Six Flags, you know, just kind of showcase, you know, the conceptual, where a ride goes from concept to reality, from a dream to reality. That would be so cool, in my opinion. And maybe that's just me, but I think that would be amazing. I think that would be a great way for people to kind of learn about the park, to learn about the structures, learn about the coasters they love in a different way. But, you know, kind of veering away from that, you know, again, King's on a Ride Through Time, go buy it. I'm not sponsored. I'm not sponsored. I'm telling you to go buy it. If you don't buy it, you know, I think that you should. I think that, you know, heck, I'll be sorry if I don't. You know, it's $21. I'm still going to buy it. It's about the price of a hat. You know, I was forgetting about buying a hat for 2 weeks. But this is something I think is going to be very exciting to read. I'm going to probably read it depending on how long it is. I don't really even know how long this book's going to be. But I'm hoping that I can probably get through it in a couple days. You know, Evan Ponstingle, if you're listening to this podcast, thank you so very much for making this book, for taking the time, for taking a lot of time to go through a ton of articles. You know, I've done research about theme parks. I've done research about, you know, park expansions and that kind of stuff from this, you know, from the 80s and 70s for a book report one time. And it is a pain to go and find some of these articles. So good on you. Thank you so very much for making this amazing book, because I'm really excited to read it. But with that being said, moving forward here, you know, I've talked about it before, and, you know, I'm going to say it again. Slice of Coasters always tell people, you know, kind of rounding back to that KI Central comment, always tell people to stay involved and to stay active in the theme parks and the water parks and the holiday events, discussions, news, anywhere and everywhere. You know, I've been in theme park journalism for about 9 years now, in one way or another. You know, I've been doing, you know, either reporting or doing discussions or doing whatever. I've been in the industry long enough to where I know, for the most part, what's going on. And it's kind of like, for myself, I want to give that back to you guys. But, you know, that wisdom is not just given. It's learned. You know, it takes a lot of falling down and a lot of picking back up and saying, all right, let's pick up the pieces and let's move on. But at the same time, it's kind of like there's another part of that to where you have to stay focused and stay involved and stay active. You know, prime example, when I don't really keep up with a lot of news agencies about theme parks. You know, I have a few that I keep up and stay up to date with, but at the same time, I keep up with a ton of enthusiast websites. I keep up with a ton of communities because, in all honesty, there's a lot of information. and, you know, you could help someone out. You know, there's a reason why I created Slice Coasters Discord. And that's because I wanted to create a community where people can be involved and people can talk about theme parks, water parks, holiday events whenever they want. But, you know, it's kind of like, and, you know, I'll say this once and say it again. There is no wrong reason to stay active and to stay interested and stay well-read across the enthusiast industry to get a ton of different viewpoints and information. You know, I will personally tell you, Coaster Clash Podcast is a podcast that I will refer anyone to because I know the guy who runs it. Ryan is an amazing dude. He's an amazing, well-read, well-informed individual who knows what he's talking about. You know, he's very up-to-date. He's very well-spoken, articulate. You know, sometimes I might go and disagree with him, but, you know, it's kind of like you have to stay up-to-date. And, you know, for every single person, it's going to be different. I usually try to stay up-to-date with a few forums here and there. You know, Chaos Central is one of them, and, you know, I think sometimes these enthusiast organizations get a bad rap, you know, just because people put people down. You know, that's just good and honest truth. You know, people put people down like no tomorrow. But it's kind of like there's nothing bad about, you know, keeping up to date and seeing what other enthusiasts are talking about. And I think getting involved with the local theme park enthusiast base is a great way to keep involved and stay engaged with theme parks, you know. And of course, I'm probably shooting myself in the foot when I say this, but, you know, to stay active on other forums, stay active on other YouTube channels, that's a really great way to stay involved and stay up to date. Of course, find someone or find a collective, find an organization that you trust. You know, if you feel as if these people are kind of shady and kind of like, I don't really trust them, then don't listen to them. But, you know, find some people that you trust, you know, find people who are engaged, who know what's going on at that theme park and kind of stay motivated. You know, for myself, I know what's going on at KI. You know, I'm very up to date. I'm abreast on a lot of things that happen at the park that's open to the general public's information, you know, and I'm very in tune with what's going on at the park. You know, when it comes to like rumor mills, when it comes to, you know, what's the enthusiast space talking about? You know, what are people thinking? I try to stay up to date. I don't think there's anything wrong in that. In fact, if anything, I think that if you're not, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. You know, keep yourself posted. Keep yourself up to date. Don't let yourself sit here and get away from, you know, information, or, you know, get away from discussions or contexts that really could help you. You know, maybe you might find out that at a certain park, if you go at a certain time, that's the best time to go and really get engaged and really go to the park and do it the correct way. Or maybe there's a food place that no one knows except for the enthusiasts who say, yeah, go on over to this food place and go and get some lunch. It's a great place to go get lunch, and it's actually super cheap. And I know I'm kind of going on a soapbox here, but, you know, I think it has to be said sometimes. You know, I think that people get way too caught up in being in one community. And I think you could be in a lot of communities and still stay involved and still stay engaged. You know, I'm going to be the first one to always say, you know, listen to my show. Listen to my show when it comes out. I would love to have you listen to my show. I would love to have you in my Discord. But at the same time, you know, for example, the Instagram's been blowing up recently. Like, the Instagram is going nutty. But at the same time, it's kind of like, you know, if you keep yourself in an echo chamber, you're never going to grow. You know, you're never going to move. You're never going to become a more informed enthusiast. You kind of have to put yourself out there. You kind of have to go on out and, you know, tread on different waters, see what other people are talking about. But, you know, of course, we are coming on to our 30-minute mark here in about 6 minutes, so I'll kind of start wrapping things up here. I know that we kind of touched on mainly one topic, and that's probably going to be the title of the show today. Sorry. I'm probably posting it tonight. King's on a Ride Through Time coming out in April. This is going to be a book that I think everyone should buy. I'm going to be buying it. I'm probably going to read it. I'm probably going to see if my buddy Ethan's going to buy it. And just, again, I don't know whether or not if Evan's still listening or if he is listening. Evan, thank you so very much. Thank you so very much for writing this book. I'm really looking forward to it. I might just go ahead and share this actually on our Twitter, because I think this is actually something that everyone should buy. Because I support the enthusiast base. If I see something I think is well worth it, if I think it's worth my airtime, then yeah, I'm going to go and post it. And I think this is one of those things that's definitely worth me posting. Because any work like this deserves a ton of merit, deserves a ton of love. And I think that the whole entire enthusiast base should kind of rally around this. This is something I think could become a norm for other parks. I would love to see books about other parks come out. Parks that, probably do have a few books here and there, but, more modern. A really fleshed out discussion and commentary on the history, and, having a ton of references, a ton of individuals who kind of say, yeah, this is where I was at, this is my park, this is my history. Because every single park has that kind of history. And, it's funny because I believe that sometimes the people who influence the most out of a theme park is not always the guests. I think it's, for the most part, the staff. It's the guy who gets up, and who has to go clear off everything on the sheets for the coaster to run. It's the lifeguard who has to go on out and check out and make sure everything's good, set, ready to go for the day. It's the general manager who gets up in the morning and is going through meeting after meeting, talking about the future of the park and talking about where the park's going. It's those people that I believe that we need to really reflect on more and really be involved with. Thank a ride-op. Thank a lifeguard. And, and I'm going to be, again, this is just me. I've been a lifeguard, I have that history. I've got that history behind me. I know a lot about being in the industry. I've got friends of mine from all over the industry. I've got enthusiasts. I've got ride-ops from a ton of parks that I'm friends with. But it's just kind of like for myself, I think that we sometimes get caught up with coaster credits. We sometimes get caught up with this main individual at the park. And we need to really get back to the point of, a park is not just a park without having a... Let me rephrase that, actually. A park is not just a coaster. It's the people who run the coaster. It's the people behind it. And I would love to see a lot more emphasis on those individuals. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this show. Again, next time we have the show, we're probably going to have some bumper music. Might even have an in-show advertisement for the podcast or some part of Slice of Coasters. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Stay tropical. Stay warm. I know it's very cold up north, but it's very warm down south. We'll see you guys in the next one.